What's up, guys? Now, reacting to a video titled "The Shiloh Hendrix Case Marks a Turning Point in the Racial Double Standards." Now, I don't know if I'd normally react to videos like this, but this case has been going on everywhere. It's a big case because it went on in America. I think it was in America anyway. I think that's where it was, but yeah, this is an insane case. Now, if you don't know this case, basically this white woman here that you see on the screen, she said the N-word in a video. So guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Let's get into it.
Saying the N-word to a child in a moment of anger is bad. Is it so bad that it warrants the total and permanent destruction of a person's life? Now, to the social media mob, the answer is always yes. By now, you may have heard the name Shiloh Hendrix. Up until last week, no one outside of her friends and personal acquaintances knew she existed. Now she's at the center of one of the more intense social media controversies that we've seen in recent years. And it all began in the late afternoon on April 28th, when the woman we now know as Shiloh Hendrix took her young child to a park in Rochester, Minnesota. And at some point, a black child, reportedly 5 years old, tried to steal something from her diaper bag. Shiloh apparently responded in anger, and as the story goes, she called the boy the N-word. Now, a man named Sharmaki Omar, a Somali immigrant and not the boy's father, allegedly witnessed this altercation and decided to pull out his phone. And the resulting video has gone extremely viral across every major social media platform. Here it is.
You call him a child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him a Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's you dumb.
Nobody digging through your
A little kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna...
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
Now, before we continue with the story, which takes several more twists and turns, we should note a few things. First of all, we don't actually know for sure that the boy is 5 years old. That's coming from the man filming, who is apparently not related to the child. In the video, we appear to get a glimpse of the kid, and from the glimpse anyway, he definitely looks older than 5. Omar has additionally claimed that the boy is autistic, which we also have no proof of. And we have no footage of the actual encounter between the kid and this woman. Did she scream the N-word in his face? Did she mutter it under her breath? Did she say it about the child after he'd already run away? We don't know. And as far as I've seen, we haven't heard anything from the boy's parents. We don't know where they were in all of this, if they were even there, which is very strange. So there are many aspects of this story that are bizarre and unconfirmed. And here's another disturbing detail. The Somali man behind the camera, Omar, was charged a couple of years ago with sexually assaulting a minor. And according to the local news channel KTTC, those charges were dismissed. A separate report by the local ABC affiliate adds that the charges were dismissed, quote, in the interest of justice, whatever the hell that means. But whatever it means, now Omar, who was previously charged with sexually assaulting a minor, is at a playground with his camera out filming. So make of all of that what you will. So there are quite a few details that still need to be filled in here, but the saga continues anyway. What happened next is quite predictable. The social media mob went to work. They set out to identify this, at the time, anonymous woman and ruin her life, or worse. Here's one of the guys who got things kicked off. Watch.
God help us. She claims that other child took her son's belongings. That's what kicked this off. The guy who recorded the video is familiar with the other child. When he brings his children there, that child and his siblings are often there and play together. The kid she's going after has autism. He doesn't behave in a neurotypical way. And even if he didn't have autism, nothing he could have done would justify her calling him slurs and pursuing him physically, which is what she says she was doing before this guy intervened. He said after he stopped recording, she sat down, hurled more slurs, told him and his wife that they should leave the country, and then got on the phone and acted like she was calling someone to come down there and handle things. Fortunately, no one came, and eventually she packed up her child and left. But this woman is a danger to children. She doesn't need to be on a playground or around other kids. And she has at least one child of her own, which is also concerning. So Rochester, Minnesota, someone do me a favor. Take a close look at her tattoos. You can see her face clearly. Someone please tell me who she is.
Okay, so she's a danger to children. She shouldn't be allowed at playgrounds. She shouldn't be allowed at playgrounds, not the guy that was charged with sexually assaulting a minor.
Well, we don't know if he knew that, right? But I think, first of all, right, she should not be saying the N-word to a kid, first of all. There's definitely more that I want to say about this, but first of all, to start, she shouldn't be saying the N-word to a kid. That's insane. That's insane. Even if, right, look, a kid stealing from you, yeah, the kid shouldn't be doing that. He should have been raised better. We don't know who his parents... Well, first of all, where were his parents as well? That is a great question, because we need to know where the parents were in all this, because even in the video, I don't see the parents coming over. There's only the man with the camera who's not the kid's father that's there protecting the kid, but where are the parents? We need to know that. But also, if I can get my words out, also, she shouldn't be saying the N-word either. That's an insane thing to say to him. No matter what he does, you shouldn't be. Now, we don't, again, like I said, we don't know if he was autistic. We don't know the kid's age, but anyway, we know he was a kid. So you shouldn't say it to anyone anyway, but especially not a kid. I guess we need to know more, but we definitely know, look, we definitely at least know she said the N-word openly to the guy that was recording the video. So, yeah, she just shouldn't be saying it, right? But I do think there's definitely more I want to say as the video goes on.
But he says, please, internet, find her, and countless others joined in. And in some cases, they were calling for the woman to be imprisoned for saying a bad word. Watch.
Share. I'm trying to find the woman who called the little boy the N-word, the 5-year-old little boy, artistic boy. She needs to be found and locked up. So please tap in.
Now, there are many other videos of people hoping that she would be found and physically assaulted or killed. Some were even threatening violence against her baby that you can see in the video. Here's one example.
And before that comes on quickly, I want to say, if you're one of those people that think someone should be locked up for saying that, even me, as someone who's black, you can't lock someone up for saying a word. It's just still a word at the end of the day. It's a racial word, it's a bad word. Someone shouldn't be locked up for it, though. So if you think that and you're watching that, I would have a think about that. Because at the end of the day, it's still just a word. So...
He said, hey, TikTok, I just got a real quick question. So we all know what happened with Shiloh Hendrix and how she got all this money, right? Off all the wrong reasons. But you know what? It is what it is at this point, right? So I'm just sitting here thinking, what about the baby? What about the baby? Because technically that baby is going to grow up and be part of the Triple K. That baby might grow up to be Hitler. That baby is going to grow up and probably be the worst of the worst out there in the world. And you know what? I don't want that baby policing children that look like me. I don't want that baby growing up doing anything else that to people that look like me, all because it was taught that. But since, unfortunately, CPS is not going to be able to do nothing, what should we do? I think you guys should let me know in the comments, because part of my thinking was, start a GoFundMe, you know, raise about $1 million, go slap the hell out that baby, make that baby brainless or something for a while. At least you still get to live. I mean, it just might be a you know, but hey, that's what happens when you grow up with racist ass parents. You gotta eat their consequences.
Now, I would say that encouraging people to beat a baby unconscious is worse than saying a bad word to a child, a lot worse. And yet there's no mob forming against that guy or the dozens of other people who hit like on that video. So this is all unfolded as you would expect up to this point, leading to the predictable news that the Rochester Police Department is now actively investigating the woman, and others began calling for CPS to get involved and remove her child from the home. For example, there's a guy we'll put up on the screen who wrote a letter to CPS, which he published on his website, claiming again that Shiloh is a danger to her own child and that the child should be taken out of the home. And pretty soon, with thousands upon thousands of people whipped into a pitchfork mob, she had been identified by name, but not just her name. Her phone number was posted all over the internet, her address, her social security number, her alleged places of employment. People were calling her phone and making death threats and then bragging about it openly. Again, so far this story is following the script that we all know by heart. A random person is caught on camera doing something rude or offensive. The video is posted by some third party, usually somebody who wasn't even involved in the incident. And then thousands of sociopaths set out to destroy the person's life and possibly get them killed, all for sport, as a form of like sadistic entertainment. Nobody stops to think about the consequences. There's no consideration of proportionality. Saying the N-word to a child in a moment of anger is bad. Is it so bad that it warrants the total and permanent destruction of a person's life? Is it so bad that they deserve to have their physical safety and the safety of their family put in jeopardy? Is it so bad that they deserve to have their child assaulted? Is it that kind of bad? Now, to the social media mob, the answer is always yes. It's always yes, that is, provided that the offending stranger fits certain parameters. And the most important parameter is that the person, the offender, is white. And we all know how this script ends. The offender, in a desperate attempt to call off the dogs, tearfully apologizes and begs for mercy, a mercy that they surely will not receive. But that is where the M. Night Shyamalan twist ending comes into play.
No, look, guys, look. Actually, let me continue.
Because Shiloh Hendrix did not apologize. Instead, she posted a crowdfunding campaign on Give, Send, Go, where she doubled down and defended her actions and asked for help to relocate and get her family to safety. And then a double twist. A different group formed to counter the outrage mob. They started donating to her campaign, and she surpassed her original funding goal in less than a day. Within 3 days, she had earned over $500,000. Now she's somewhere north of $600,000. So the woman who was supposed to have her life ruined by the mob is instead on her way to potentially becoming a millionaire. Now, this twist, as you can imagine, has outraged the outrage mob even more, but a large number of prominent people on the right are also horrified by this turn of events. Just as one example, Colin Wright tweeted,
Look, before he gets into stuff like, because there's political stuff, right? But I think, look, do I think she deserves backlash? Yes. You said the N-word on the video, right? But do I think people should dox her address? No, because then you're endangering her family, because you're going to have some crazy people. I mean, did you hear that video before? That guy talking about slapping the baby? That's an insane thing to say. You know, what that kid's going to be like. Do I think she should probably think before saying the N-word around her kid? Of course, right? Because, you know, you don't know what's going to happen to that kid. That kid might think it's normal, whatever, we don't know, right? But, you know, lead a kid out of this. Don't slap a kid for one. That's insane. But that's the thing. Do I think she deserves backlash? Yes. Do I think she should get doxxed? No, because you don't know what people are going to do. People say you're going to kill her over it. Again, guys, look, it's a bad word, but it's just a word. Look, if you want to get angrier, sure. If she maybe, I don't know, if she has a job, if she loses a job because of that, that's a consequence, you know, that I wouldn't feel sorry for her, right? Because, you know, I mean, she has a kid, so maybe, but that'd be her own fault for being racist on camera, right? But when you go into a house, or potentially, I don't know, like she's trying to move now. I mean, look, I wouldn't say the crowdfunding thing is a good thing, but, you know, her getting to safety is also a good thing. And again, I'm not defending her, but I'm just saying she has a family in there. And look, what she said is bad, but using violence, it's just never the answer, is it? It's just, you're just not going to win, because then another side might feel like, now we have to do this, you know what I mean? So it's just, it doesn't work, right? It's not a good thing. You know, again, she deserves consequences, but not those type of consequences, not those extreme type of consequences.
The woke right is now mirroring the woke left's tendency to glorify and martyr immoral degenerates solely based on shared racial identity. This woke one-upmanship is a race to the very bottom. Many conservative influencers and commentators, many of them who I like and respect, have echoed this sentiment. They say that, you know, the people donating to this woman are behaving no better than the left. They say that this is the right's version of the Carmelo Anthony fundraiser that also raised $500,000, even though he stabbed somebody to death, which I hope we can agree is far, far worse than saying a bad word. Some have even speculated that this whole thing is some kind of psyop meant to delegitimize the movement and make conservatives look racist. To that, I must assure them, despite how it may seem, that not everything is a psyop. There are things that, you know, I don't think they understand what's actually happening here or why. It is, in the end, a net positive that this woman has raised $500,000. I'm glad she has. I hope she raises $1 million. I will not be joining with some of my conservative friends in wagging my finger at her donors, and I'll explain why. First of all, she does have a legitimate need for the money. The mob is truly trying to get her killed. I don't believe that a woman should have her life threatened for saying a word, even a bad one. And you could say freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences for your speech, all you want. But if losing your livelihood and having your house burned down is a consequence of your speech, then you do not have free speech. Supporting free speech means supporting someone's ability to speak without having their family murdered for it. Okay? I mean, that should be pretty obvious. Second, more importantly, and you know, this is the part that I really need everyone to stop and think about. This is the most devastating attack on cancel culture that we have seen, possibly ever. Shiloh Hendrix has, without really trying, effectively ended cancel culture. As Mark Dice said in his video about the incident, Shiloh is the final boss of cancel culture, or maybe rather the final boss that cancel culture has to fight. And I think that's right. And this is the part that many conservatives seem to be missing. All they see is that this woman said something bad and is now getting rewarded for it. The whole thing is so unsavory that they can't help but recoil. And yeah, it is unsavory. You wish that Shiloh had said or done something that we could affirmatively defend. That would be much easier. Nobody wants to affirmatively defend cussing out a 5-year-old, even though I don't think the kid's actually 5. But none of that is the point. The point is that the only way to put an end to this routine, the routine where the outrage mob mobilizes and assembles to destroy somebody's life, is to disincentivize the routine. And the only way to disincentivize that behavior is to reward the person who's being targeted. Now, we can...
Look, you know what? I get I get where he's coming with this, right? I get it, because it's like, you know, I'm in full agreement of the cancel culture and people just getting cancelled for just anything or the most ridiculous things. People are just sick of it. People are sick of the song and dance, you know, come out and apologize. You know what? I'm sick of it as well, right? I'm sick of it. And I do think if she was a different color and this was the same scenario, there wouldn't be this much of an outrage, right? But I get what he's trying to say, because it's like, this whole thing, it's of a bigger issue in terms of like white people feeling like they're not able to talk right now. That's what they're feeling like. So I get the bigger issue, and then it stems into DEI and all these other issues that are floating around in America right now, right? There's so many different, I get that, right? And I'm not in disagreement with that, right? I think DEI is stupid, right? That whole DEI thing, I think it's dumb. But when it comes to this, it's very hard with this issue, because it's like, you don't want her to get attacked, of course. You don't want anything to happen to her family, right? Like these lunatics are saying, right? You don't want any of that to happen. Again, it's just a word, guys. As a black guy, I'm saying this is just a word. I don't think, am I going to go shake a hand and say well done? No, but I don't think our whole family should get attacked for it. But then, on the other hand, her raising $1 million is insane. But again, the point that he's making here, which is why I can see where it's coming from, is it's the reaction that he's getting at. It's the reaction to everyone. It's her getting the $1 million is not like, it's not the point, it's not the main point of her just getting $1 million. It's why is she getting this $1 million? Why are people donating? It's because certain people feel like they can't say what they want to say, and they feel like other people are getting privileges, you know? And we know who those other people are, right? So yeah, I get what point he's making, basically. If you guys agree or disagree, let me know in the comments as well.
We can complain all we want about the mob tactics and how they silence and punish people and exact vengeance in wildly disproportionate ways. We can condemn it. We can write think pieces about it. We can deliver monologues. None of that matters. None of that will stop them. The only thing that can stop them, the only thing that will make them think twice about doing this again, is if they know that instead of getting their target canceled, they might accidentally make them rich. And more important even than the money, they must know that their attempt to isolate and ostracize somebody will fail. That for every person condemning the targeted person, 2 more will rally to their defense. You know, the motto of the cancel mob for a long time has always been, make this person famous. And a lot of them were saying that about Shiloh. Let's make her famous. Now, the assumption is that the fame will have an exclusively negative effect on the person's life. Making them famous means making them unsafe, making them bankrupt, making them persona non grata. With this case, that assumption has been flipped on its head. Because now the mob knows that making them famous might help them more than hurt them. Rather than the fame being punished, it's rewarded. That's the only way to stop this. The making them famous tactic now has a powerful disincentive attached. Think of it this way. Justine Sacco is widely considered the patient zero of cancel culture. Back in 2013, she was on a flight to Africa when she tweeted jokingly that she hopes she doesn't get AIDS when she gets to Africa. And when she landed hours later, you're probably familiar with the story, she discovered that her tweet had gone viral across the country. The mob had made her famous, and she lost her job. She was cast out of polite society. Her life, as she knew it, was over. And our culture, as we knew it, had also been changed irrevocably. Now, I wish that somebody had started a crowdfunding campaign for her all the way back in 2013. I wish that while half the internet was trying to wreck her life over a dumb joke, the other half had made her rich. I wish people had donated $500,000 to her. I wish they donated $1 million. I wish they donated $50 million. And that's not because I think an AIDS joke is worth $50 million. It wasn't that good of a joke. It's not because I think that Justine Sacco is some great hero. It's because that would have destroyed cancel culture in its infancy.
You know what it is? Guys, sorry to pause again, but like, if it was any other thing she said, I probably would have been a bit less. But because it was the N word, it's like, and again, look, it's not that I don't really care about the N word as much as I used to, guys. That might be shocking for you guys to hear. If I hear someone saying it, I'm not going to go into if I hear someone that's not black saying, I'm going to go into a frenzy. Obviously, unless it was directed at me, which she directed it. I want to know if she directed at the kid on. Is she actually directed? Well, she did direct it at the kid because she kind of basically was like, so what? But what was it, under her breath, or was it right to him? I mean, she was kind of pointing at him in that video, so you would assume she probably at least made it clear who she was talking to. But it's like, see, this one's a hard one. This is a very hard one because she did still say the N word, and I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, guys, let's make her rich. But again, I kind of understand the bigger issue here. It's just, it's a tough one, guys. I don't know how you guys, let me know your feeling. I really want to know because it's a tough one. Because don't just look at the video, actually look at the bigger, there's a bigger thing to this, right? And it's very funny to see, but, well, it's not funny, the situation, but it's exciting to see because if cancel culture is gone, that would be a great thing because you see some people getting cancelled, especially, you know, including white people here, because white people are the main topic here. You see them get cancelled for some dumb jokes that black people could make and no one would really care. But still think this issue is it's a weird one, guys. It's a weird one. But yeah, let me continue.
The entire incentive structure around this online left-wing version of mob justice would have been broken right at the start. If they made her famous and she profited from the fame rather than being ruined by it, then the make her famous tactic would have died right there, and that would have been the end of it. But it didn't die there. Instead, the mob was emboldened. Mob justice worked out really well for the mob nearly every time for the next decade and a half. Now that's finally changed. And you don't have to like Shiloh or agree with her choice of words to see that. Speaking of her choice of words, there is another point that I think has to be made here. The mob that tried unsuccessfully to cancel Shiloh Hendrix was far, far more outraged over Shiloh saying the N-word than they were over Carmelo Anthony stabbing somebody to death. Indeed, many of them actively supported Carmelo Anthony murdering Austin Metcalf. They rewarded him financially for it. And this is all part of the preposterous racial double standard that has defined American culture for generations now. It is a double standard that declares it a greater crime for a white person to say a word than for a black person to kill a white person. In fact, killing a white person could even be a just punishment for saying that word, according to these standards. The rules surrounding this word, the moral weight granted to it, the arbitrary guidelines drawn around it, it's all nonsense. It's all indefensible on both moral and intellectual grounds. People are fed up with it. That's what you're seeing in this story. People are just fed up with it. Now, that child, if he's like the average black child in this country, did not hear the N-word for the first time from a white woman at the park last week. Okay? He's no doubt heard it thousands of times. He likely hears it every day. He probably hears it in his own home. Are we supposed to believe that he's heard the word 1,000 times, but it's time 1,001 that really traumatized him? I mean, the idea that the word is a common greeting for one race, but
Look, I'll let him continue.
unspeakably evil if uttered by a different race is laughably ridiculous. The idea that one race can say the word 10,000 times a day and the other race cannot speak the syllables under any circumstance, even if they're just repeating what someone else said or singing along to a rap song, that idea, again, is totally indefensible, which is why no one has ever tried to defend it. Instead, it's just yet another, racial rule of the road that we're supposed to follow without ever asking any questions about it or expecting anyone to explain it or justify it. People are sick of that. It's just that simple. They are sick of it. Now, it is simple. If it's wrong to say the word, then it's wrong for anyone to say it. If black people want white people to not say the word, then they need to not say it. If you say it, everyone else can say it. Point blank, it's that simple. That's how life works. Deal with it. No, you can't do that. You can't say, well, no, we can do this thing, but you can't. Doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. Well, it did work that way for a long time. It was indefensible, and it's just not going to work that way anymore. Sorry. And no matter who is saying it, it's not any worse than any other slur or vulgarity. It's not special. The word is not magical. It's not some kind of mystical curse. It's not some kind of dark incantation that conjures evil spirits from the netherworld. It's just a word. It's a vulgar word. It's a rude word. It's a word that I believe polite people shouldn't say for the same reason they shouldn't use any other vulgarity. I'm using N-word right now instead of saying the actual word for the same reason that I would say F-word or C-word instead of those actual words. Those are vulgar words, but that's all. The reflexive, indefensible, capricious, vacillating racial double standards are over. People are fed up with them. They are fed up with the game and they don't want to play it anymore. And that's all that this word has become. That's all that our quote unquote race relations have become. A game with arbitrary rules and incredibly excessive punishments for anyone who breaks them. It's like the societal equivalent of a child, trying to walk on the sidewalk without stepping on a crack. Eventually the kid gets bored with it, starts walking normally again, because it turns out that if you step on a crack, you're not really going to break your mother's back. The rules are fake. And eventually people get tired of following them. Telling white people and white people only that they can't combine two specific syllables under any circumstance, it's like telling them they can't touch their head unless someone says Simon Says. Okay? They're not going to play the game forever. White guilt is the fuel that keeps all this going. White guilt is what convinces white people to follow arbitrary rules that make no sense, to tolerate, even defend a system that's rigged against them with blatant double standards. It's what's compelled white people to acquiesce to a culture that says that, every race can and should defend and root for their own, but white people, and white people only, should not be conscious of their race at all. None of it is fair or morally coherent. And the Carmelo Anthony case, where a black teen raked in $500,000 as a reward for stabbing a white kid to death, was, for a lot of people, the final straw. The final straw of many, many straws. It is no surprise that the Shiloh Hendrix case comes on the heels of that. A lot of people online are fretting that this is the beginning of some kind of race war. But I don't think it's a race war, and it's certainly not the beginning. I mean, there's been a war waged on whiteness for a long time in this country. So this cannot be the beginning of anything. But it may be the end of something. The end of racial double standards. The end of cancel culture. This is an ugly story in a lot of ways. But if history has shown us anything, it's that ugly things die ugly deaths. If you'd like to see what
Wow, guys, look. Now I want to get into all that now. I wanted to let him talk, guys. And you know what? After letting him talk, I 1,000% agree. I do agree, guys. I think, like, if you look at it, there is a double standard. I'm saying that as a black person, there is a double standard. And again, it is just a word. It's just a word, guys. You know, you can't, you know, it's in our music, it's everywhere, it's in our daily speech. So, like, before, I used to get angry about it, but now I look at it and I think it's said everywhere. You can't expect people not to say word that's repeated so much through everywhere. Like, it's repeated again in the music, right? You know, you might hear a white person singing in the music and everyone goes crazy. Everyone's like, oh my God, you can't say it. It's like, it's in your music. If you put it in your music, if you say it in daily life, people are going to say it. Now, if someone says it directly to you, that's a different thing, because it's like someone telling you to F off or something like that. You know, obviously there's, I guess there could be more levels to it, right? But it's basically like someone telling you to F off. You know, obviously it's an insult, and obviously it's more of an insult. If the person saying it to you is of a certain skin color, it can be considered that. But at the end of the day, it is just a word. And you know what? Even though I wouldn't condone or say it's good for what she did in the video, calling the black kid the N-word, the overall issue, like the overarching issue of just the double standard and you know, again, this case he's talking about here, right, where they'll raise money for, that's insane. Like, if you think that's okay to he stabbed someone and you're raising money for him. Now, you could, whether it was provoked or you felt like he was provoked or how you see it, you shouldn't have had a weapon in the school anyway, right? I don't know schools who allow you to bring weapons in, right? And I don't know people who do stuff like that where people raise money for them. You may feel like they might deserve a shorter sentence, or you may believe they deserve help, but raising money, again, is insane. But again, no one has a problem with that, like he's saying. So I can see, as someone who is black, I can see the outrage. I can see why people are annoyed. I can see half the people that are donating, they're probably not, so some of them probably are racist, but I'm sure some of them just want to be treated fairly, is what everyone's been asking for ages. Everyone asks to be treated fairly, but then when you try to treat people fairly, it doesn't work. You can't treat people fairly because they don't want to be treated fairly. They want rewards and DEI. And so I'm sorry, guys, I like mostly agree with what he said in this video. And you know what I say, she should be a millionaire? No, but I can understand it. But guys, let me know your opinions in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this case. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I've said in this video. But I wanted to talk about this because it's a very interesting case. It's very interesting. I'm very interested. Tell me what color you are as well when you comment, not just because I just want to know like what the different races saying about this. But yeah, guys, I'm out. Peace.